All right, let's now shift our attention to the other big story from the United States, where Donald Trump and also his administration, remember, have tried to downplay the Yemen attacks group chat saga as a closed case. But the Signalgate scandal refuses to die down. The U.S. Defense Secretary is now in the spotlight for the investigation in this unprecedented security lapse. Now, what is interesting is this. Pete Hegseth, as the Defense Secretary, is the head of the Pentagon. And now the Pentagon will investigate the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, for using the Signal messaging app to discuss sensitive information about military operations. The probe will be conducted by the Inspector General of the Department of Defense. A memo from the Acting Inspector General, Stephen Stebbins, has said that the probe will evaluate the extent to which Pete Hegseth and other defense personnel had complied with policies and procedures for the use of a commercial messaging application for official business. They'll also review compliance with classification and records retention requirements. The investigation came in response to a request from the top two members of the Senate Armed Services Committee. The Atlantic magazine revealed last week that its editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, was inadvertently included in the Signal chat, in which officials including Hegseth and the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz had discussed the strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. When asked about the probe that was initiated against his Secretary of Defense, President Trump again downplayed the development, calling it a wasted story.
Pete Hegseth in this IG investigation, do you want to weigh in on that?
What is it?
There's an IG investigation into the Secretary of Defense's use of the Signal app.
Oh, is that, you're bringing that up again? Don't bring that up again. Your editors probably. That's such a wasted story.
A U.S. judge has ordered the Trump administration last week to preserve all Signal communication between the 11th till the 15th of March. The dates, in fact, cover the period when Waltz had set up the chat and mistakenly added Goldberg, and the day of the deadly U.S. airstrikes on the Iran-backed Houthis. All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we are joined in this broadcast by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who is a military expert and is joining us live on this show all the way from Virginia in the United States. Now, Colonel Davis, this is a very significant matter. There is now going to be a probe against Pete Hegseth by the Pentagon, but the head of the Pentagon is Pete Hegseth himself. How's this even going to work out? Does this not go contrary to the laws of natural justice? He cannot be the judge in a case where he's also the accused.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we have the Inspector General system itself, really throughout the government, but definitely in the U.S. military, is that the Inspector General is supposed to be outside of the pressure from the commander of the organization, in this case, the Secretary of Defense. So he's supposed to be free from any kind of influence with that. That's so that we can look openly at anyone in the organization. That's the theory. We'll see how it's going to work in progress, because when you take a look at all of those text messages, not just the one that happened at the time of the strike, but the ones going back several days before that, it's pretty hard to make a case that that's not classified information, but we'll have to see how the probe works out, I suppose.
And also considering the manner in which Pete Hegseth has conducted himself ever since he's taken charge as the Defense Secretary, there are reports that he's taken his wife to many of these high security meetings, etc. Is there a possible sort of a buzz that probably Pete Hegseth is not taking his job seriously enough, considering the sensitive nature of his job?
We only see bits and pieces. I honestly can't talk about the issue about his wife going out. I don't know if that's a confirmed situation, if she was actually in on classified, or if it was just some other meeting. I just don't have enough information to talk about that part. But the things that we see illuminated in that text message string, et cetera, he's taking it seriously. Just what the question is, should he have been taken seriously on a different platform, i.e. the high side, they call it, the classified system? That seems to be the biggest issue.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Colonel Davis, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.